are making our descent into Las Vegas McCarthy Airport. On behalf of our crew, we'd like to thank you for flying MMAjunkie Airlines. Now please fasten your seatbelts and put your tray tables in your upright position because the descent is going to be a little bit bumpy.
Alright, Junkie Nation, it's time to roll, baby, on MMAjunkie Radio with Gorgeous George and Goes. This is what we do and why we do it, baby. All night long, we rollin'! Yeah!
The MMAjunkie Radio revolution is upon us.
Can you dig it?
There's no escape. No escape. Through the vast frontier of cyberspace and through a sea of stars in outer space.
One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
We've solidified our combat communication stranglehold.
We are controlling transmission.
With the use of MMAjunkie Radio and SiriusXM satellite radio technology. MMAjunkie Radio. Commence transmission. Live from MMAjunkie Radio HQ in the fight capital of the world, Las Vegas, Nevada. Here are your hosts, Gorgeous George and Go.
From the fight capital of the world, inside the beautiful Mandalay Bay Racing Sportsbook, you are listening to the MMAjunkie Radio Show. I'm your host, Gorgeous George. With me, as always, is the devious and dastardly Goes. He's our ace co-host back east. He's going to handle all the producing duties. It's Sam, the man. Sitting to my right, one of the best in the business of all of MMA. I'm talking about if you lumped up fighters, promoters, ring card girls, referees, judges, seriously, he would be one of the icons. He is one of the icons of the sport. It's Big John McCarthy. What's up, Big John? How you doing?
What's up, stud? How you doing?
Good, man. Good to have you back.
Look how good Goes looks, man. He's just
Right?
happy to be here, huh?
Yeah, he
Well,
does
I'm
look good.
tripping on two things. You took the lazy way out with Sam the Man. That's like Jake the Snake, right? Everybody's
Yeah.
So we got to give him a better nickname, and he beat out the ring card girls.
Yeah.
How do you
Of
like that?
course.
That's only for people that are blind, though, so it's okay.
You know what I was thinking about? This is how silly I am. I'm 47 years old, but I swear to God, I have a mind of a 7-year-old.
Yeah.
As I was
That
talking,
will
I
never
thought,
change.
you have those
That's
moments.
surprise
Oh,
on
yeah.
our faces.
All right. So get this. As I'm getting ready to open the show, I thought, oh, I didn't take out the gum out of my mouth.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started thinking, well, no big deal, because if it falls out, Big John will just pick it up and shove it in my mouth. He doesn't seem to clean off mouthpieces, right? He'll just go, oh, here you go, you know. Big John, what's up with that? I thought, like,
Talk to me, Dad. Come on.
at least the mouthpiece gets the splash of water.
Yeah,
or
because
whatever.
you've seen it so many times in boxing, right?
Well, no, but I've seen it in MMA.
Yeah, we used to do it because what did we follow? We followed boxing. And look at the whole thing is this. When you pick up the mouthpiece, you look at the mouthpiece to make sure it doesn't get any debris on it, doesn't have anything that is, a little fuzz ball or hairs or anything like that. If you look at it and it's clean,
It ain't clean. It just landed on that
where
nasty
the
canvas.
hell did it come from?
A mouth.
His
at least
nasty freaking mouth.
But
Okay, and
still,
trust
it's
me,
his own
that
mouth.
It was his own mouth, though.
that mouth
if I went
is
like this,
dirtier than the canvas.
and
I
the
hate
gum
to tell
flew
you.
out, and I caught it with major reflexes.
You tell me. All right,
I
right
have
now.
no problem putting it back in my
Oh,
mouth.
you
It's
see,
my mouth.
you are so lying because if right now you drop that gum and it hit the ground, being a man, you're going to look and go,
5-second rule.
damn straight, boom, back in there. Same thing. Now, it all comes down to MMA.
Is it the flow of the fight? You don't want to ruin it?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Well, and there's moments of the fight where guys have advantages. And if you stop the fight, bring the fighters up, bring the fighter over, because it's different than boxing because boxers are always on their feet. You bring them over to the corner, then we bring them back. There's times when you're taking an advantage that one fighter has gained, and you're taking it away. So what we try to do is, if we have to, then we'll do that. But if we can look at the mouthpiece, it's clean. You know what? Boom, put it back, and get the fight going, then we'll do it that way. How many times have you seen a fighter get his mouthpiece knocked out, and he reaches down, grabs it, and puts it right back in?
Yeah.
He doesn't even look at it, because the whole thing is to get the mouthpiece back where it belongs, so his jaw is protected, his teeth are protected. It's the only real piece of safety equipment he has. But to stop everything the way it was done before, we look at it when I teach it both ways. When you look at it, if you see anything, even if you see, blood or a giant loogie or something on that, hey, stop it and get it washed out. But if you look at it and there's nothing on it that's clean, take it, stop the action real quick, put it back in the fighter's mouth, and get the action going again.
All right.
That's a good explanation.
Yeah, I like it. All right, so do you want to just tackle the big 800-pound gorilla right off the bat, or you want to ease into it?
Usually
How's
if it's 800
Vegas
pounds,
like?
I want to move around a little bit, even though I don't move that well. No, let's go. Come on.
Tito and Chael.
What about it? It was a good fight.
How pissed are you, or does it just water off a duck's back, the talk of fix?
Oh, people are freaking morons. Are you kidding me? If you're let's look at it this way. If you're Bellator, you got a guy that's going to retire. You have Chael that you have for 6 fights on a contract. Who do you want to win?
Yeah.
All right. Come
That's
on.
what we were saying yesterday.
Yeah.
We almost gave it limited time because I felt it was so ridiculous. But okay, enough comments came in that we addressed it.
What I would love if I could do it is to take people that say, that's a fix. Good, I'm going to put you in that hole that he was in, and I want you to feel it. I want you to see how strong Tito Ortiz really is. I want you to feel the pressure that Chael was under. Because, you can see even on the screen how purple his face is starting to get. He's purple. And it's not only – that choke was not what we would say is a perfect choke. It's not. It's on one side of his neck. But trust me, on one side, you start to shut down that one carotid artery, it will put him out. It just takes a lot longer. Mm-hmm. And with what he was going through, it's on his jaw, and on that one side is getting cut down. It is an incredible amount. That thing was so tight. Look I tried to break it, and Tito didn't want, to let go because he was mad. And it took me doing something that was mean to him to make him.
It looked like your right hand almost went down his throat, right?
Oh, I stuck my thumb and my finger in the middle of his trachea and crushed it.
That's what we were talking about yesterday.
With
it hurts,
Damian
dude.
Maya?
Damian Maya did that to me.
Especially if you have your hands busy doing something else and you can't. Oh, you saw him right away. Boom, he stopped. And that's my job. I don't want to hurt Tito. But if you're not going to listen and you're trying to hurt Chael, my job is to protect Chael. And if you want to be dumb, then you're going to end up feeling something that's not comfortable. That's your problem.
Yeah, and I saw you guys cross after the fight.
Oh, I talked to him.
You said
I talked to him.
You scolded him. Yeah.
Yep. Look I've done, I think that was the 21st fight I've done of Tito Ortiz. Okay? I've known Tito since he was a teenager. And Tito is a great guy. Now, he does get emotional, and when he gets emotional, because he's the one that really came up where he started doing that trash talk. And he has his rules for trash talk. But they're his rules. And no one else has to follow his rules. Mm-hmm. It's, Chael's got his own thing. And now Chael said some things at times that I go, yeah, you just don't do that. But that's Chael, and Chael's going to say those things. But if you're Tito, you got to look and say, what is Chael doing? If you're smart and you understand this game, Chael is selling the fight. He's making people look at it and go, man, we got heat. He doesn't like me. I've beaten him, this, that. And he keeps on saying things to get under, the skin of Tito and to make it look like they have this thing. But in the end, the best part of fighting is, okay, you said all these things, but there's going to be the day that comes up, because there's a date on this, that I get to punch you in the middle of the face for all those things you said. But once the referee says it's over, then I have to stop, because that's the legality of it. No different than other things that we have in life. There comes a point where we get to do those things that, hey, I get to try to hurt you, and then when it comes to that point where it's over, it's over.
Mm-hmm. This topic actually gets under my skin.
The fix?
Yeah, because think about how many things have to be
nuts.
Incorporated to make something like that happen. Right. In this day and age.
And the laws that were broken along the way.
Oh, my God.
In this day and age, who can even hold on to a secret? If I whispered to you guys right now, hey, I have 3 nipples. That shit would be out in like 2 months. You guys would hold on to it for a little bit. By 2 months, I guarantee it's out. But it'd probably be out by in
I
a
would
week.
say 2 hours.
Can you imagine 2 athletes holding on to something?
I would be texting right now, dude, Goza's got 3 fucking nipples.
I'm telling you. I mean, not just that, but like the laws that are being broken, right? All the people that have to be in, the way they would do it, the time. There's so much that would go into it. It sounds so ridiculous. But
people want to. They want to sit there and they said that Tito tapped.
A lot of fighters, too, have been saying this.
Okay, I want those fighters to watch all their fights and watch their hands when they're doing certain things. It'll actually make a look of your hand doing something that is reminiscent of a tap. But
right. I think on one of them he was just forming the thumb, right, to let you know. That's all it was.
Well, one of the things is, when you watch, I had someone who texted me this morning and said, "Hey, I've been watching. The Japanese referees, they sit there and when a submission's on, they're pointing and stupid." Okay, now I do it, but I do it in a very subtle way. All right, but the problem with it saying that this is what we want all of our referees to do is all of our referees are not the same, and all of our referees don't understand the game the same way. And we'll have a fighter put something on like Chael did, because I will tell you, when Chael first put that guillotine choke on, when he first tried, when Tito went for the takedown,
right,
and you saw Tito jump over, it was tight for about 2 seconds. It was tight. I'm telling you right now. And from that moment on, he had nothing that was tight. Zero. And you'll see me, if I have a submission, no matter what kind of submission it is, if it has the ability to end the fight, it's tight, you'll see me get down close and I'll bend over towards the fighters. And I do that so my judges who are working the event, if in Bellator it doesn't really matter, the UFC, because they have screens too, so if they can't see, they can look at that screen. But in every other show, they might not have it, so it tells my judges, oh, it's on tight. John's going down towards it. I know at least that submission is on
because
good.
You've discussed this with them?
Absolutely. Okay. So that's the message that I'll give to them. And what am I doing the entire? I'm standing straight up, which is telling you it ain't tight. Okay, it doesn't matter if Tito, he wants to give go ahead, give a thumbs up. I'm looking at it going, there's nothing there. And there wasn't anything there. Now, when I say tight, obviously he feels pressure, but it's not close to being able to submit him. And that's what we're looking at. So the whole thing, when people are looking at it and going, oh, he tapped. He's not going to tap when there's nothing happening to him. Okay, no different than Tito when he fought Randy Couture. How many people have said, Randy tapped?
On the butt, the spank?
Yeah. I've had so many people, you should have stopped that fight, Randy Couture
People
tapped.
said that?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow.
You know why? People are morons. Could you imagine if I had stopped that and gave the win to Tito? Yeah, you look and you go, people just want to create controversy, even when it's not there.
Yeah. In talking about his face turning purple and his forearm almost, it was. What would you say was more of the pressure against the jaw?
It is.
Or
you want me to do it to you right now?
Or a combination of the. I mean, yeah, if you can take it like from one to like.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right,
here we go. Stay right where you're. Just sit down where you're at.
You want me to take this off?
Feels like
yeah, you want to take that off.
All right, let's turn off George's mic.
Yes, I got it, dude. All you got to do is just touch my arm, and you're good.
Did you hear the part
go and sit back down so I know you don't go out on me here. No, I don't want to go out. Yeah, I know you're not. All you got to do is tap. So what Tito has when he's doing that, he slips it around and he gets it deep, and Chael's chin starts to turn a little bit here, and Tito starts to take his head and put it here, and now that's one, and I haven't even done anything, and that's two.
Sucks, right?
That's two.
But you know what? It was that.
Oh, your jaw's getting torqued.
I wasn't feeling like I'm gonna go out.
No, but
you're turning purple.
Yeah. Did you hear me go?
Yeah. Put your mic on. Yeah.
At two. I'm telling you. Trust me, I could have gone way harder, and Tito can do it every bit, if not harder than me. Chael's putting up with an incredible amount of pressure. And he tried to, see if he could get himself out of it and realized, this is not working. And when I did get, I got Tito off of him, and I talked to Chael. Trust me, Chael's doing the blinks because he's starting to see, not that he's going to, he wasn't out, but that pressure is getting to him. That one side is starting to cut off. It's tight.
Jumping outside the box of this whole thing, do you almost feel like it's kind of insulting for people to even say that? Because I take it a little bit, not much. I slept well, trust me, the last few nights. But like my casual buddies that bring it up, I feel like telling them, do you think I'm fucking this dumb that 10 years in to hosting a show, I would actually sit here and talk about fights that might be fixed? Has it happened in the history of MMA?
How many
people? But, I mean, like at these high levels, do you think that I would be involved in that? I mean, that almost starts to make everyone believe that anyone else that's involved is kind of a fraud as well.
You're dirty, too.
Yeah.
How many people said Ronda Rousey against Amanda Nunes was fixed? I saw that.
I didn't think.
Wow.
Really? Oh, yeah. That was a fix. Look at it.
If it was, they went about it the worst possible way you could ever do.
Trust me. You know, it's one of those. You look at people and you go, all right, whatever you think. You know, look at we didn't land on the moon either. How many people saying, you know, Neil Armstrong's a liar. He never stepped foot on the moon. You know, all these guys never did that. It's like, hey, look at when there's no way for you to really talk about it in a way that's going to make them change their minds. Let them say what they're going to say. You want to be stupid? Be stupid. There's a lot of stupid people in this world.
Didn't Chael initially turn into the choke?
He didn't really.
And then he started to fight off, and then he went palm to palm, right?
When Tito brought his arm around, Tito went to bring his hand behind, like, you know, we're going to do a normal Mataleon, a rear naked choke.
Right.
And Chael grabbed at it and tried to pull, but when he did and he pulled it down, Tito had his arm around, and when he brought his hand down, he brought it just right to it, and that's when he sucked it in. What we call, some guys will call it a cup and saucer, but
palm to palm, Gable.
Yep, okay. Gable gripped it.
And then the way he had turned Chael's body, he only had one hand to now possibly even defend that, and by then now he's invested in about a minute or a second or two of being in the choke, feeling pain, the carotid artery. It was, I don't know. I mean, did I want it to go longer? Of course.
Sure.
I want to see some ass kicking take place on either side. But when it doesn't, I just feel like a lot of people run to that. It's like this crutch of theirs. Oh, it must be fixed then. I didn't get what I wanted.
Exactly. Yeah, I hear it all the time with some fights. You look and you go, Jose Aldo fights Conor McGregor. That was fixed. That was a fix. It's like, okay, you know what? Yep. And I have some great beachfront property for you in Oklahoma. You need to buy it at high price.
All that being said, though, has there ever been a moment where you kind of went, in your long career?
I can tell you, I know which fights were fixed that I've been part of.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it had nothing to do with me, had nothing to do with the promotion, but long ago you had fights between guys who had the same manager, and we had tournaments.
Oh, boy.
It was the Wild West.
You got it. And in those tournaments, they would have both of their fighters would advance, but this one's the better fighter. And if he gets an easy fight in the second round, then when he gets to the finals, he'll be fresh. Hey, let's do this. And, you know, it has happened.
Yeah. Don't follow up on that.
Happened twice that I know.
Yeah, I know exactly. Yeah.
Go ahead.
But you know what?
I've had some in the back of my mind. Too.
What's that?
If you want to look at one, though, on YouTube, check out Alex Emelianenko. I wish I would have remembered the opponent's name, but you don't have to go very far. It happened very early in the fight, and it's basically a jab, and it's so bad, man. The guy.
Are you talking about in Pride?
No, it's in Russia.
Is it in Russia?
It was a jab.
Pride had
and then he
lot.
just kind of went, oh, my God, and he literally did one of those Rowdy Piper when he gets like the Stone Cold Stunner or whatever, and he marches around. And
like Ric Flair?
May he rest in peace, and then just, Ric Flair, and just boom, does a nosedive. It's really bad, man. That one's really, really bad. But, no, we were just joking because I think I know where you're headed, and one of the parties is just someone we know.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But anyway, okay. There you have it. I mean, you had as best a seat as you could, and you feel a lot of, I mean, not physically, but I think you get a good feel. Just that little noise I made, you hear the gurgling.
Oh, yes, you do.
You hear the thumps.
Yes, you do.
You know, the extra breaths that someone takes or isn't taking. Come on, folks. Seriously, open up your eyes.
Yeah, well, people are going to believe what they want to believe.
And now are you to the point where you see that and you just laugh it off, or is it ever like, you ever get pissed?
You know, to say, do you not get pissed? Yeah, sometimes you get look and go, how stupid can people be? But you know what? You learn, hey, just let it go. You know, I'll get it on my Twitter thing, you know, hey, that was fixed. You know, it's like, and I feel like going, and you're a fucking moron. I can't do that.
Do you think people ever confuse in later parts of a fight just someone being out of shape and gassing, and now their body reacting in a way where someone can go, hey, that guy's not giving a full effort. Therefore, the fix is this was early in the fight. So this is different than maybe a third round fight or a 5-round fight where,
you know, the one thing that you see, I don't know so much in the longer fights, but you'll get people that say that guy wasn't in shape, that guy didn't train. It's like, oh no, he was in shape. Did you see the body shots that he took? You know, look at everything is about taking, and you're going to try to diminish your opponent. Well, when we talk about some of the body shots these guys are taking with some of the spinning kicks and the front teeps and these things. when it hits you right, it's putting a hole in your gas tank because it drains you of energy. And when you can't breathe and you're having to fight, it's a bitch. And, people have no idea how many times there's guys in the middle of that ring fighting their ass off, and they haven't taken a breath for 30 seconds.
Jeez.
But, they're good at hiding, what has occurred, and they're trying to fight. And a lot of people won't, but I'm standing there going, breathe, dude, breathe. And he can't because, man, he's hurting. But he's still fighting. He's going after it. But that starts to diminish him because then in the next minute his heart rate's gone way up, and now he's trying to deal with it. It happens all the time.
We also hear breathe to the fighters that are sometimes so excited.
Oh, yeah.
The corners are telling them, relax.
Oh, yeah.
The end is near, but breathe.
Sometimes they'll actually hold their breath.
Yeah. Not
because they got hit with a shot, but they get so tense trying to go after things. They're trying to think, and they'll actually stop their diaphragm from working, and they'll actually hold their breath, and that's why you hear the corner say, breathe, because you can see it.
How many people would have to be involved in something like that anyway? In this case, it would just be the two fighters. But if there was an overall deal that had a...
Trust me, it's going to have to be a whole lot more than the two fighters, actually.
I would imagine the managers would probably know at that point, right? Trainer.
The Hell's Angels...
But you wouldn't, and Bellator wouldn't in this instance.
No, the Hell's Angels had a, I don't want to say great saying, but, you have three people that know a secret. The secret can be held when two of them are dead. You can't have two people knowing something and think that one of them's not going to talk about it. They're going to. People inherently, I don't give a damn what it's about. We have people that commit murders and they have to tell somebody. Why? It's going to make me feel better if someone else knows. And to sit here and think that, yes, we have this conspiracy where Bellator is wanting, Tito Ortiz to go out with a win in his last fight. So we're going to set this up, and Chael Sonnen is going to be the guy that's the dupe that's going to do it, and that's going to work out well. Are you freaking high? That's some good stuff they've been smoking though.
Big John McCarthy here in studio with us. If you want to chat with us, it's 866-522-2846. I also got a lot of questions piled up on Facebook. I'll be taking those. You guys did an excellent job of lobbing some questions. You've affected our show in many ways. One of our listeners became a judge and a referee recently.
Yeah.
And we were so pumped up. He's a young kid. Actually, he's not a kid anymore. I mean, he already finished
30s,
Texas A&M, and he's just been listening for so long. We knew him as a college kid, but he did his thing, and he recently, like 2 weeks ago, made his debut on LFA out in Texas. It was so cool to see that.
Outstanding.
Yeah. He was really stoked, but he took your class. He took your course.
That's great, man. People have no idea, but when I go and I teach classes, and I teach a variety of different things, but I have my command course that I put out, and I don't get to teach it that often because I'm always busy. But when I have guys, and I've had quite a few that they get to a certain point, and then they're doing the bigger fights, and then they make it to the the UFCs and the Bellators, and then they're doing the main event. That makes me feel phenomenal. Mm-hmm. It makes I'm so happy. I'm kind of like the dad that's got the kid that's succeeded, mm-hmm. And I tell them all the time, I would rather everyone says about do you care what fight you get? And I tell them, no, I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. But to watch somebody that is someone that I've been teaching and they make it and they get to that point, I would rather see them get that big fight than me. Frank Trigg is a guy I've been working with for a while.
Yeah, he was just here last week.
Yeah, well, he's ugly still, but Frank's really doing good. But we got, he finally got licensed in California, and got him to be able to do a couple of fights at the Bellator show to get him used to the bigger crowds and stuff. And he had the first fight, and man, I'm running around looking, watching. He did a great job. He had two heavyweights. He had Jack May, and he perfect stop when he did it. And it just makes me feel great that he's coming along and doing things, because it's very difficult. People think that fighters, that's the way to go in the future for judging and refereeing. Very difficult for a fighter to change the mentality that they have to change to become that successful official. They got to change their entire view of fighting and get away from, I could put up with that or any of those things, and Frank has done a great job.
The same way we've heard trainers say when they get a new fighter in the gym, they can tell within a minute or two whether that guy has it or not.
Yeah.
Will that happen when you're training people? Can you see a guy and just go, that guy's going to be good, that guy's not?
You can definitely see the guys that aren't going to make it. And it's
what's a tell?
Oh my God, just the
how much can I make?
And there's your first. How much money can I make at this? None. Go away. That's really what you look at, because if that's what your concern is, then you don't give a shit about the sport. You give a shit about what you're putting in your pocket. But you'll see people as far as their level of how they control their body, how they move, and what they're looking at and what they start to look at compared to what's important and what's not. And you'll see it in guys. And, sometimes, you can train them out of bad habits, but the bad habits, it's, no different than guys think they can throw a punch, and they come in the gym, and, the trainer looks at them and goes, oh, my God, if I spend a lot of time, I've got to take this guy and break all the bad habits that he has in him, which is like trying to fix a computer that's got a hard drive that's all screwed up, because now I've got to take everything away that he's ever done and retrain him into what's right. Not an easy thing to do.
You're listening to MMA Junkie Radio on Sirius XM Rush 93. We're going to take this first break. We have a couple callers on hold. We'll get to them. If you want to join the queue, it's 866-522-2846. I'll also be taking questions on Facebook. Check out our official Facebook page for the website. It's facebook.com/official MMA Junkie. We also have one for the radio page, facebook.com/MMA Junkie Radio. We'll be right back after this break.
They can drink Mentos-flavored Diet Coke without their stomachs giving a single fuck. They are Gorgeous George and Goes. And this is MMA Junkie Radio.
Goes, it's bugging me, man. I think I could have made it to a 3 or 4.
Uh-huh.
And I feel like a pussy that I tapped out to 2. Maybe towards the end of the show, if he'll oblige, I may do it. At 2, I made a noise. You heard that, right?
Yeah.
I don't know what I did. And the pressure was there, but that wasn't the ultimate pressure. So, like, let's say I was a spy for America. Mm-hmm. I feel like I would have, like, given up a lot of secrets way earlier than the real spies.
Yeah,
that's what I'm feeling, and I emasculated a little. Uh-huh. So I need to get a little street cred back.
But his scale could be a little off, because if that was 2, at 10, I think your head falls off.
Yeah,
right?
10. What happens at 10 is my head just blow up.
It's going to feel like it's going to explode.
1 was like, okay, what's the problem here? Yeah. I was even thinking, I can get out of this like Houdini. Watch, and then 2, all of a sudden, I did feel like pressure, but I think it was because, like, fucking Ralph over there with the cameras, and these cameras. I thought I'm going to have that moment where, like, Koscheck when he was oozing,
Yeah.
So I didn't want that, but if you'll oblige maybe later in the show,
we can show
me what a 3 or 4 is. And I think a 4 salvages, right?
Well, you might as well do a 5
Hub
or halfway
Swanson,
there.
when we were first starting out, we said, teach us leg kicks, But obviously, don't start heavy. He goes, why don't we start off at a 2? And he did the old
dropped
it on you. How bad was that, dude? We could barely walk.
Oh, yeah. The 2 was okay. The 4 was bad.
Yeah.
But that was outside TGI Fridays, and we were all drinking. But still,
Everyone thinks that the top of the foot, that slap is the bad one. It's that quiet one, man.
Oh, dude, the quiet one. When that shin bone right above the ankle joint hits you and has that little drop into your quad,
that's
it's
horrific.
Horrible.
It is horrific.
Yeah, it's horrible.
I remember the next day, I didn't want to get up first because I wanted to see how they walk first.
Yeah.
And we all kind of had that Western showdown where we looked at each other, and then we noticed we were all limping, so then it was cool.
I was doing a thing one
We
time.
were all hurt.
I was doing this show that I do it's called Celebrity Sweat, and it's about working out and things like that. And it was Evander Holyfield was one of the guys that was with me on it, and we were at Anderson Silva's gym in Torrance.
Mm-hmm.
And
Muay Thai college or whatever.
Yeah, and he's looking around, he's talking about Anderson, and he's says he's asking me about boxing with Anderson comparative to MMA, and I'm explaining stuff, and he says what are those kicks like? And I go, they're horrible. And he goes, really? He says, it's not that big. I said, I'll tell you what, I'll just drop my leg on you. You can get an idea, and you're going to see. It's going to be nice and slow. And I dropped a kick on his leg. And he looked at me. He goes, "Don't ever do that again." And it's people don't have any idea.
What'd you give him, like a 2 out of 10, 4
out
of 10?
Yeah, I just picked it up and went boom, and dropped it in the right spot. That hey, it's gonna hit that nerve a little bit. And he just looked at me and goes, "Don't ever do that again." And it's Evander Holyfield. I said, "Okay, no problem."
You know what I think is even worse is the check, hitting the check.
Oh, hitting the shin on shit.
God.
Well, that hurts, but it doesn't.
If you're not conditioned for it, your shin.
But what you're telling yourself is when you do it, it's hurting him as much as it's hurting me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that's really the purpose of it. It's going to hurt, but
kicking an elbow.
But it's when that kick comes in and he hits that quad. That's not hurting the guy that's kicking at all. Mm-hmm. It's definitely hurting you as the receiver. But when you get that and you check it and you get that block, it's hurting me, but it's hurting him and making him go, "Oh, I don't want that to happen again."
You wanted to clean up a little bit of Tito and Chael?
Yeah, the one thing I want to say that I didn't say about, we were talking about, these people and, nobody can keep a secret. Here, this is the other thing, when the people talk about, well, Bellator or the UFC, they were in on it or something like that. People have no idea that the California State Athletic Commission is the one that's regulating that event. And if they actually thought or got any kind of, truthful language that said that there was a possible setup, that's the end of Bellator's license, and they're going to get suspended. They can't promote then, and all these things that could occur that are all horrible things. And they're going to take that chance. They're going to take a chance with this multi-million-dollar company to put one over for Tito.
That's what's so
Just
funny
ridiculous.
is the payoff at the end. Let's just put everything together.
There is no payoff.
The payoff is Tito walks away with
a win.
That's why they went through all that.
Oh, yeah.
Come on.
That's it.
Moronic. I agree. One other thing. Somebody posted a street fight between the Lazan brothers on Facebook.
Oh, that's old.
Yeah, I didn't know how old it was.
That's how Joe Lozon got into the UFC to fight Jens Pulver.
Are you sure?
I'm positive.
I think they had another one.
Oh, did they have another one?
Yeah.
Okay, they're just crazy then.
But what I wanted to point out was if you ever have seen something go down at a stadium or a bar and someone gets jacked up pretty good, just to get an idea, watch these two guys, martial artists. I mean, did you see how hard they were hitting each other?
Yeah. And
Holy
brothers.
cow. And people were just watching two brothers fight at a barbecue. I couldn't believe it, but still, those stumps. John, you're really privy to, and I don't know if you've ever been asked this, but that it's like you have raw footage, so much more raw than what we're watching
Absolutely.
back at home, right?
Yep.
And like, what has it done? Has it done anything to your fabric as far as like your tolerance for violence, or I mean, you actually hear that, like a gash, or
you hear the thud of the things hitting. Everyone asks me, "What's the hardest blow?" And look at the hardest thing that I ever heard was that MVP.
Told you.
Knee against freaking.
I saw your reaction.
I'll tell you what.
We had this not an argument. We had a discussion. Go ahead.
I have heard, look, I get to hear all these different blows, and I hear the, not only the blow, I hear the result, on the fighter that takes it. And you can hear or the, they're going to make, these noises and stuff. That blow was the same as, if you ever gone to a batting practice and you're down by the batting and a guy hits one that jacks it out 500 feet, that crack that you heard was what?
Like an aluminum bat crack?
Oh, my God. Like, it's just a wood bat. Take a wood bat and hit it against a cinder block as hard as you can.
Wow.
And that was the sound that knee landing on Cyborg's forehead made. It was something I had never heard in that volume, in that realm inside. And I hear things all the time, and it took me – it actually did. It took me back with how hard that it hit. I was like, holy Christ. And, the end result was, it broke the front, portion of his skull.
You obviously trust his integrity, right?
Yeah, no. We
didn't set this up?
No.
We talked about it before the show.
Oh, okay. We had a discussion about this.
Yeah.
And we were talking. So,
but
you know where I'm headed.
We were on different pages because what I was trying to say was if you're in the arena and you're watching the two, you don't know exactly what happened to Cyborg. You know that it hurt him.
What did we
right?
say? What's best KO or most dynamic KO?
I don't even
what
know
was
what
the argument?
we
It wasn't an
were
argument. It was a
just saying,
discussion.
Like which one looked worse, I think.
Maybe.
And so what I was saying was because Ward went out completely, if you're in the arena, you would say, wow, that one was worse. But once you get the details of what happened to Cyborg, then obviously that one.
Yeah, I mean, when I saw his skull caved in, I was like, whoa, that's eerie, And so in talking about this, I had recently came across it again, and I was watching it. And you don't pick some stuff up till like the second or third time. This time I just watched you, and you actually went like, oh. Like I did. Like, what the fuck was that? Like
that is exactly.
You probably don't get many of those moments because so many years of doing this.
I get to see guys, and be it in MMA or kickboxing or boxing. I've seen some guys that they can swat. They hit hard, and you see them throw a shot, and you see the guy taking it, and you're standing there going, God, and you personalize it. You go, God damn it, I wouldn't want to be hit with that. That is hard, man. That guy's taking it. Even when they're blocking it, you're going, oh, man, I know that hurt. Man, that was a solid shot. And you're looking at it, and then there's, the ones like that, you just go, whoa. People have no idea. The difference in them, Paul, if you watch that fight with Brendan Ward, Paul ends up, in the very beginning, we talk about the fights beforehand, and we say, hey, look at this guy hits really hard. This guy hits really hard. This guy's a better wrestler, but this guy's defense and this. And so we talk about it, between referees and give them a little bit of an idea. And, Brendan hit Paul with a good shot right off the beginning. You actually see him, he buckles. And it gave Brendan a little bit of confidence, like, oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. And then he got hit by Paul Daly. And look, I'm telling you, Paul Daly can frickin' swat. That dude can hit. He hit Brendan, and it changed everything. And, like, oh, God.
That elbow to start things off.
And in the end, before that elbow that hit him, it hurt him. So he's already hurt going back, and that's why he didn't respond to the knee the way he needed to, and because he was hurt, and his brain's not working as fast, and the signals are not getting there in the normal fashion, and he gets hit, to the side of the right here in the eye is where that knee landed, and it was just, solid as anything and put him straight out. But if you're going to ask me which knee was, the better knee, I've seen a guys knocked out by knees. I've never seen a guy's skull break.
True.
That's the difference.
Let's take these calls. They've been waiting for a while. We'll start off with, I'm not sure who this is. Junkie Hotline. Who's this?
Marco from Waco, que pasados and Big John McCarthy.
What's up, Marco?
Hey, first of all, you guys live in Vegas. Time to start taking some jiu-jitsu there, Gigi. You tap at a 2? Come on, man.
What was the last thing you said?
He said, time for you to take some jiu-jitsu. You tap at a 2.
You tap at a 2,
yeah. I used to go with the guys at Cobra Kai downtown, or not downtown, kind of down the strip, and I tweaked my neck one time, and I thought, okay, settle in
Don't
here,
want that.
and I need to get back. They've offered it to me. It was fun, and it definitely, I think, helped, obviously my coverage of the sport.
Well, you're on fucking camera. I mean, it's not like we're at Arby's or some shit like that, right? I mean, he's got to do his job. He's not going to sit there and just go out.
Hey, so all this controversy about Sonnen and Tito. Okay, first of all, the reality. The reality is that Chael Sonnen was out for 3 years. He was on PED jail. And then historical when somebody freaking tore his little pinky. So he's famous for tapping out super quick. Now, I want to play devil's advocate. Bellator, especially lately on these temple events, have very fugazi, fights, like the Ken Shamrock freaking Kimbo fight. Then you got Kimbo Data 5000. Then you got, of course, Ken Shamrock Royce and Tito Bonner, Tito Slemenko. Fights that really leave a bad taste on the mouth of the hardcore viewers. So it is easy to see that some of the hardcores might want to, overblown whatever happens on Bellator, they fix it sin or something is wrong. Because the product that Bellator is putting hasn't been, top quality, and that is why people are crying foul. Whether you guys catch that next time.
Okay, thank you for the call.
You know what? I think, Marco, this is what the hardcores don't get. Well, they may get it, but you're right in that Bellator and Sonnen, their whole goal is not so much that they want Tito and Sonnen to bring eyes. They do. Because they want those eyes on those beginner fights that you're seeing. The old names to bring eyes upon the new names.
And it's no disrespect to all those names that you just named off, but if they were to headline, they just wouldn't get 1.85 million viewers, which is what
the whole
I believe
thing.
the numbers were released.
Yeah.
The hardcores would be like, yeah, fuck yeah, this next guy could be a champ or whatever. But you need to bring in those casual viewers that are attach themselves to these big superstar names, and in that process, there's that wrestling term. You're putting over some of these other, younger guys.
And you can look, people can say whatever they want. I don't care who it is. When you look at, who had the best numbers of any fighter there's ever been, who is it? Kimbo Slice.
Yeah.
Boom, you just said it. Okay? Conor McGregor, Ronda Rousey, all the numbers that they do are not close to the numbers that Kimbo Slice brought in. Was Kimbo the best fighter?
No.
Not even frickin' close. But he brought the most eyes.
Yeah.
And that's, as a promoter, that's what's important. That's what they're looking for.
Gimmick or not, at the end, when the fight starts, you
You're in.
kind of want to see someone get their ass kicked.
There you
right?
go.
You pick the side by then, you're like, yeah, I hope he gets his ass kicked or whatever. All right, we got to take this last break. You're listening to MMA Junkie Radio on SiriusXM Rush 93. Our in-studio guest co-host for the day is John McCarthy. You can follow him on Twitter at John McCarthy MMA. It's a great follow. He does a lot of these hashtag AskBJM sessions. Is it, you put it on a schedule? How often do you do that, by the way?
I do it when I'm sitting in the airport.
Just chill? Okay. I see him a lot. I just didn't know if you had like
That
Sunday's my
airport's a
day.
lot.
I'm in the airport a lot.
But seriously, you can always ask him questions that way too. I encourage you to call in though, 866-522-2846. We'll talk to Aaron from Texas when we get back.
that scene in Star Wars where Darth Vader tells Luke he's his father? What if I walked in right after with my voice and was like, I'm your Uncle Walter. Can I get a lift home? That'd be crazy, right? Anyway, here are George and Goes.
All right, tying all the loose strings together. This is Aaron from Texas, the kid that took your class and refereed his first major card a few weeks ago at LFA. What's up, Aaron? How you doing?
Morning, gentlemen. How you guys doing?
Good, man.
What's up, Aaron?
Mr. McCarthy, how are you, sir?
I'm good, man. Don't call me mister. That makes me older.
Yeah, you'd still be able to be. You could still kick my ass. So I'm not too worried about that, you know. Thank you, John. No, I wanted to thank you, just for everything. I mean, I took your course in 2013 in Arkansas because it was during that time Arkansas Athletic Commission was having all its officials certified, and you came in for a weekend. And actually, true story, I actually told my boss I was sick that weekend and took 2 days off to go do it.
I remember training
it worked
there.
out pretty well.
I'm glad.
Yeah, it was fun. I remember some of the stories you told. I know I probably can't tell many of them on air, but one I will tell. It is actually it's just kind of cute and funny. Is you were talking about how you hate when guys like Joe Rogan would talk about, you know, a guillotine. Oh, it's a power guillotine, and you absolutely despise that term. You know, like it's a front naked choke. There's a rear naked choke and a front naked choke, and that's what you called it. And then that next weekend, you work in a Bellator event. And Brandon Ward, who just fought us last weekend, he executed that perfectly, and you were the referee. And I'm like, okay, I'm waiting for it. What's he going to call it? And sure enough, you called it what you said you would call it. And I'm like, all right, well played, sir.
You know, and the main point is, you know, it's all right. I'm gonna throw my man Frank under the bus here. We had him. You know, one of the dark matches off of the Bellator because they sometimes will do fights that they don't get in the beginning, they'll do them after the main event, and he had a guy did an inverted triangle, and the inverted triangle ends up submitting the guy, and so he goes and, you know, he comes over and he says, you know, he names it, and I wasn't there when he did. I go over to the table and I said, what did he call that? And they said reverse triangle, and I went, God damn it, right? And they go, what? And I go, that's an inverted triangle, change it, right? And then Frank comes out of the ring, right, and I said, tell me what that hold was. He goes, it was a reverse triangle. I said, what is a reverse triangle? And I'm putting him on the spot because I want him to learn.
Right.
And I said, tell me what a reverse triangle is. He goes, that. I said, no. A reverse triangle, Frank, is when, you know what, I put my arm to the outside, then I switch my legs over. That's a reverse triangle. He goes, oh. I go, what was it? He goes, that's an inverted triangle. I said, thank you. Right? And he goes, God damn it, right? And I go, why people don't care, but why it's important for us as officials is I can go back and I can look at this fighter's records and I can see this guy put on, when they say there's an inverted triangle.
Well, there's one there.
Okay?
Oh, Masvidal, he hates it.
When a guy puts on an inverted triangle, when I see it as the record, I'm picturing, okay, this guy likes to throw, and he's going to be in some positions, he's going to bring his legs up and tell me. And when I hear reverse triangle, I'm thinking of something completely different. And we always want our officials to say the right things and put it out because it can help an official later on in the future as far as getting to know this fighter if they haven't watched him, what they do and what they're good at.
That's Toby Amada against George Masvidal, who's fighting this weekend, by the way. And George, now he laughs it off. He did not like it that night, though. I think it became sub of the year too at the World MMA Awards.
Should have.
So, yeah.
That was a great sub.
It was a great sub. I'll tell you what, man.
Hey,
Frank.
John.
Oh yeah, sorry, Aaron. I forgot you were there.
Yeah. Hi guys. No, but one you talked about also happened back in 2013. It was between Charles Oliveira and Eric Weisley, I believe, and it was a reverse calf slicer. And I think you tried to tell it to Bruce Buffer, and he just, he told him, he's like, "What is it again? It's this." And he goes, "Winner by submission."
That was exactly it.
Really?
Yep, that was.
We got to bounce. Bruce. We got to bounce. But thanks, Aaron, for calling in, man.
Good talking to you, man.
See ya. All right, folks, we'll come back in a few minutes. John McCarthy in-house. It's MMA Junkie Radio.
But I shot a man in Reno just to
They pat down TSA agents because they don't know where those people have been, and because they can. They are Gorgeous George and Goes, and this is MMA Junkie Radio.
All right, we're back. It's the second hour of the MMA Junkie Radio Show. We got John McCarthy in studio here with us. And, John, I want to do a little bit of rapid fire on a couple of these.
Okay.
And then we'll get to another controversial topic involving you and Roy Nelson. And looks like you guys are all back chummy, good in the hood. He kicked you in the butt in Brazil. He had to formally apologize. And then I guess recently you got a chance to even the score.
Yeah, you got to have it.
Well, let's just jump on that right now. Let's just talk about that right now. I mean, I remember, I think you came on this show, and it didn't look like you were too upset or,
care less.
In reality, I'm sure you wish he wouldn't have done that. We all do.
And the truth is,
but it
I
didn't
didn't
look
even
like
know.
Yeah.
It's not like, people are like, how could you not know? It's like, I get bumped all the time. Hell, Tito ran into me. I don't know if you guys saw the
beginning.
Yeah. I'm sitting there talking to his corner, telling him, hey, they're going to have a national anthem and stuff, so tell them to stay warm. Boom. It's like a look. I go, how the fuck did you just run into me? But he's looking at Chael. Okay. But, you get bumped and things all the time. I don't think about it.
But you would agree that is egregious in any sport to touch an official. I'm glad that the Brazil kind of like, even though however sincere he was, it seemed like he was sincere when he did the video. I don't know, sometimes they'll take off the mic and go, all right, that's over. But my point is,
did?
Oh, did he? Okay.
No, I don't know.
My point is, I see it in other sports, and it gets out of hand. Where before I used to see a soccer player walk up to an official, and they're supposed to, with their hands behind. Mm-hmm. Why did you give me the yellow card or whatever? And now they're getting in their face and trying to bump them and. You got to check these kids. Roy's not a kid, but the younger kids that see that. So I was glad that there was, some action on Brazil's part. But in the end, I know that, you didn't lose sleep.
No, I lost 0 sleep. I sleep really well. Look, Roy's a good guy. Roy just has his, he's always looking towards, hey, I want the black and white of what are you going to do here? Well, what are you saying is damage? And you can't give him black and white. Fighting's got a lot of gray area. The rules have got gray area, and it's about, look at my interpretation of, are you doing something to end the fight or are you not? And Roy wants those things all spelled out for him, and it's like, well, you can't really do that exact thing. So Roy and I have talked, and I have 0 problems with Roy Nelson. I like Roy Nelson. I think he's a phenomenal fighter, and if I ever referee him again, then you know what? We'll do certain things so Roy's comfortable with me being his referee, and I'm comfortable.
Well, that was my follow-up. You think you'll ever ref Nelson again, or does it just make sense to skip that one?
It doesn't bother me at all. Mm-hmm. And if a commission looked and said, "Oh, we don't want," great, don't put me there. I don't care. It don't matter to me.
Did he get a chance to go back and watch the fight?
Yes.
And did he still have the same opinion of it? Because when we were watching it live, we both felt like the stoppage was justified. But there was one moment where he hit Bigfoot, and Bigfoot made this movement where it almost seemed like he was in the fight. And I think that's why you let it go. It was a certain movement where we were saying, uh-oh, it's getting close to being stopped. And then he did something that made us go, okay, maybe he can come back from this. And I thought that's why it went on a little bit longer.
That is why.
Was it?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, it's, back then Roy said, he was out when I hit him. It's like, no, sorry, he wasn't. When a guy goes back, there's different ways that people fall. And as the referee, you should be looking at those things. And I'm looking, and when Roy hits him, and he hits him with a good shot, but when Bigfoot goes back, he doesn't go back with his arms in a way that he doesn't even brace he starts to brace his fall, which is telling you his brain's working. Okay, so now I've got to let Roy go, and then Roy comes in and delivers a shot. It actually, one of them misses, then he hits him with a shot, and it stuns him. There's no doubt it stuns him. It almost freezes him for a second, but he's still bringing his hand up to defend and to do. You've got to let the man go. I can tell you in the back before that fight, Bigfoot is saying, John, I sometimes I go down. You got to let me go. If I'm there, please don't stop the fight. Let me go. I said, look, this is what I'm expecting out of you. This is when I'll let the fight go. This is when I'm going to stop the fight. And there's two sides to that equation. So you've got to be fair to both. And the whole thing about well, they were friends and stuff. Look, if you don't want to hit your friend, which I totally understand,
don't fight him.
Don't take the fight.
Heavyweights, if you stood up and punched this as hard as you could, we'd all go, damn. And still, these other guys, I mean, because they're professionals, they crush each other, man.
Oh,
what's the difference between a heavyweight, like straight, like boom, connect, versus the flyweights? I mean, how much of a difference?
Take your headset off, George. Are we going to demonstrate?
No.
Yeah.
I mean, is it the equivalent? Of like, oh, okay, two mid-sized sedans crashed, and then over here it's two locomotives hit each other.
The way I equate it is, for people, if you understand ballistics, when Conor McGregor is hitting someone at 145 or 155 pounds, he hits really hard. Okay, he doesn't hit hard enough to hurt a heavyweight at all. Couldn't hurt him at all. But that heavyweight, if he hit Conor, trust me, he's going to put him out, because a heavyweight has so much weight and their ability to generate. When a Roy Nelson, look at Roy can hit. Mm-hmm. Roy's got a right hand and he's good at hiding it. And his ability to throw that and generate power, generate speed and velocity with that weight behind it, creates this torque that the human body is not meant to accept. And heavyweights hit so hard. I mean, it's not everyone hits at the same rate, and there's a whole lot of guys that hit hard that are of lighter weights. The guy that hits, if you're going to say pound for pound, the guy that hits the hardest that I've seen it's Anthony Johnson. He can generate power. He has the ability, his hips torque in a certain way, and the way he throws and punches, he generates power. But heavyweights as a whole, that's and why people like heavyweights, because look at the human body is set up just a certain way. And when you have guys that are throwing things that ballistically, it's not the 22 or the 32 caliber. They're always throwing 50 caliber bombs. Those 50 calibers, when they hit the right spot, it's over. And these guys hit so hard, people have no concept.
Who else hits hard?
That's fighting right now?
Yeah. Or ever. I mean,
I'll tell you what.
You said AJ's one. Who's kind of like your 2 through 5, maybe?
2 through 5.
Lawler, is he up there?
Oh, Robbie Lawler hits with bricks.
Yeah.
Anybody that's been hit by Robbie Lawler knows, man, he's got heavy hands. Paul Daly has got super heavy hands. Now this is different weight classes. The guy that hits incredibly hard is Derek Lewis. Mm-hmm. And Derek Lewis does it not only from standing. When he's on the ground and he's subtle in the way he does it, but he turns his hips. He's very similar to the way Fedor used to do ground and pound. And, man, you watch Derek Lewis hurts people on the ground with punches. Not elbows, punches. And it's a totally different game, and that guy can really swat.
You mentioned Fedor, and I remember watching him, because a lot of it obviously comes from your hips.
Yep.
But Fedor, when he was on top of someone, he threw some ground and pound. I just felt like he had his shoulders, they could just turn, man.
Up and boom,
it was something else. Another guy I remember back in the day where if you literally asked, you went inside of a gym and there's 50 fighters there, you go, who hits hard? This is 10 years ago. The name Drew McFedries always came up.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Drew's not fighting now, and that's why I didn't say him. But Drew McFedries hit as hard as anybody you'll ever see, especially for his weight class, 185 pounds.
Yeah.
He just God gave him the ability to have power. Everybody that got hit by Drew was like, oh, my God. And you can see the reaction on the fighter. Drew McFedries hit as hard as anybody in the 185-pound class that there's ever been. And Robbie Lawler for a long time fought 185. Drew McFedries hit harder than Robbie.
Imagine the wars they had at Militich's.
Nope. I don't want to be in there.
All right, here's the rapid fire. Just how did it feel to kick Roy Nelson in the ass? That comes from Muna in San Francisco. He also asked your most nervous moment in the cage.
When you say nervous, it's hard for me to give you. I don't get nervous, and I know that's weird for people to understand. I think nerves come from lack of preparation or lack of knowledge. If you have a lack of knowledge in what you're doing and you're not prepared, you're going to be nervous because I could screw up here. I can make a mistake. Now, we could all make a mistake in the cage as a referee, but I personally feel, when I walk in there, I'm confident in what I'm going to do. I'm confident in my knowledge of what I can do and what I can't. And I get excited for fights. I don't get nervous. When I get nervous is when I have a fighter that gets hurt. And I really get nervous when I have a fighter that's hurt that I can't get out of the fight. And because there's moments where you're looking and this guy's really hurt. And he's fighting back and I've got to let him go. But it's hard. It's very hard to have a guy that you know, man, he's taking some big shots, and all the fans are thinking, well, there can be this great comeback. And you know, man, there ain't going to be no comeback here. This guy is taking huge shots, and I'll be looking for ways, if I can, to do certain things so I can get him out of the fight. But sometimes that opportunity doesn't come, and he makes it through it, and you go, okay, but you know that he's taken more damage than he needed to take.
Abel from Santa Ana, Cali Refrigeration. He says, heel kicks are legal now from the guard. Why was it a big problem in your eyes in the past?
Lack of knowledge. Truthfully, look at here's the problem, and you're going to hear things about the new rule set and heel kicks to the kidney, and you have certain commissions coming out saying, that is dangerous, and you're endangering a fighter's health by having heel kicks to the kidney. So let's talk about this and be honest, okay? Get rid of all the bullshit, all right? The truth of the matter is, heel kicks to the kidney were done by Royce Gracie against Ken Shamrock back at UFC 1, okay? It's no different than saying, hey, we're going to put in a rule of there's no noogieing allowed in MMA. No noogies allowed, okay? Because God knows it's something that's done all the time. It's not done. Why is it not done? Well, it's not effective in stopping the fight. When we look at what is allowed in MMA, and I don't care which commission you go to, look at their rules, I am allowed to punch you to the kidney area with everything I have, as many times as I want, okay? I am allowed to knee you or elbow you to the kidney as hard as I can, as many times as I want. I am allowed to hit you with a roundhouse kick at 100 miles an hour. If you look at it, that's about what a hard Donald Cerrone is going to fight Masvidal. He's going to try to kick him. It's going to be at about 100 miles an hour if you're able to get, chronograph on that. And he's allowed to, with a 100-mile-an-hour kick, take that shin bone and hit that kidney area. But I'm not allowed to take my heel and do this 15-mile-an-hour little thing that back then, and this is no disrespect to Ken Shamrock, he had no idea what it really was, had no idea what he was doing against Royce, and doesn't realize that nice little heel kick is telling you what? His guard's open. I'm going to pass. Okay? The fight game has changed. It's a stupid rule, and it was put in there by people that at the time that we did that, and I was one of the ones, I'll admit, fault, but I was told finally, hey, just shut up. Let it go. It's stupid. Because we had boxing people who look at boxing and say, well, we don't allow kidney shots in boxing. And so because we cut a fighter along that line at the hip line, and you can't hit the fighter to the back. It's a 180-degree sport. It's flat. Where MMA is a 360-degree sport. So with a 360-degree sport, we are allowed to attack the back of the fighter. We're allowed to hit. What we can't hit is that spine. That's protected by the rules. Okay, can't hit the back of the head in a certain area. Okay, that's protected by the rules. But with all of these things that I'm allowed to do to the kidney area that are way more damaging, way more explosive, way more in velocity, they have a problem with this heel kick because they don't understand it. So back when we did the rules, I was sitting there saying, I'm the reason that the knees and the kicks and all that, I said, look at, you can't have it where a guy's not, going to kick and you're going to say that kidney. Well, we don't have a problem, but I don't want that heel kick thing. Okay, great, we'll get rid of the heel kick. And it was taken and put in as a foul, and it's stupid. It's no different than grabbing the clavicle. It's ridiculous. There's no point. If you have something in there that doesn't affect the sport in a bad way, doesn't affect the fighters in a bad way, why do we have it as a foul? What we should have as fouls are things that can cause a problem for the fighter or for the fairness of the actual match.
That's what I was going to bring up was the boxing influence, because what comes to mind are the rabbit punches, right? To the back, to the kidney, those were fouls, and I thought maybe that's why it transferred over.
It is.
One question that we're getting that they want you to clarify is throwing in the towel from the corner.
Okay.
Because you were mentioning how sometimes you were thinking, man, this guy is probably on his way out, but you can't justify the stoppage at the moment.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about throwing in the towel?
Look, throwing in the towel was taken out, back in 2001 when we did, because throwing in the towel was the main way of stopping an MMA fight back when the UFC first started. In fact, at UFC 2 when I started, The only way the fight could stop was the fighter tapped out or the corner threw in the towel. And so I was big into telling the corner, watch your fighter. And I would tell them beforehand, if I say this is what it means. If I say this, it's telling you take that towel and throw it in this cage so I can stop this fight, because I couldn't on my own accord. And after that, first, UFC 2, I said, that's it. I'm not doing that anymore. I can't have that, because I had corners that were idiots that weren't going to throw in the towel. But back in 2001, when we did the unified rules, the group of people that were there was, Lorenzo Fertitta and Dana White, Joe Silva, Jeff Bladnick, myself, people from Pride, Terry Treblecock from King of the Cage, Paul Smith, and you had all these people that were part of promotions and some regulators. But the main people talking, for the most part, was, myself and Jeff. And with the throwing of the towel, that was the last thing. It was foul number 31, because Mark Ratner was the executive director of Nevada, and he was actually listening to it on a conference call. And in the state of Nevada with boxing, they do not want the corner to throw the towel. They want the corner to tell the inspector who's in their corner, I want the fight stopped. The inspector will get up and get the attention of the referee. They think it's a cleaner, more efficient way of stopping the match from the corner man. So the corner man can always stop the fight. Just in Nevada, it was considered a foul. You couldn't do it. It's going to end up stopping the fight anyways, but they can get a suspension off of it. So that's the one rule that Mark Ratner wanted put in, and so they put it in at rule number 31, no throwing the towel. Then back in 2012, they took it out. They said, you know what? It's ridiculous. It has really no part in the sport. If we're going to have, that should be state to state. If they don't want to have it, then, don't have it. So Nevada has always had it to where you can't throw in the towel. But in California, in Arizona, Utah, all of them, there's only 2 places you can't throw in the towel. It's considered a foul now under MMA.
I wish I had a fight to reference this. I cannot remember right now. But have there been times, this is me watching you, where I feel like you've given a look to the corner like, are you guys stupid? How could you let this guy come back out?
You know what? My job is to try to protect fighters. Now, there's all kinds of things. Let's take a look at the BJ Penn just fought Yair Rodriguez. All right, and, going into that fight, I'm looking at it and I go, man, this is going to be a hard fight for BJ. I'm not stupid. I know this sport, and I know what he's facing. And the difference I'm smart enough to know, as I got older, I started getting hit by things just sparring that I never got hit with before. And they started to hit me hard. And it got to a point, it's not that I didn't see it, it's that I couldn't get out of the way of it, because Father Time beats everybody. And as BJ gets older, BJ is slowing down. Where Yair is, he's 23, 24 years old, he's fast. When you take 2 guys like a Tito Ortiz and a Chael Sonnen that are close to being the same age, you can put 2 older fighters together. And because that speed is not going to be the problem in the fight. But when you take a young guy and you put him against an older guy, you can have problems just in the speed area. So I looked at it and go, BJ's going to have to get close to Yair. He's going to have to get in on him. He's got to get a hold of him. That's where he can win this fight if he's going to be able to do it. Well, you saw how the fight went, and Yair started hitting BJ with shots from all over. Mm-hmm. And, he's switch kicking on him. He's doing all kinds of things. And at the end of the round, and I'm not the nicest person in the world, but, look, it breaks my heart to watch someone of BJ Penn's status taking that kind of beating, because I know he's not going to stop. Yeah. And I know in the back, his big thing was, John, I'm so glad you're reffing my fight, but, don't stop my fight. Don't stop my fight. Don't, let me go. You know I can take a lot. And all fighters kind of get into that, and they say that. So in between rounds, I have Greg Jackson. Do you think Greg Jackson understands fights? Yeah, he understands fights. But, I go and I tell Greg and I tell Jason Perillo, I said, hey, I want you to watch your fighter. Are you seeing what I'm seeing? And it's because, look, I know that they're in a position where they know they can't stop it at this point, but I want them to be thinking about, hey, you need to protect BJ. Don't just put this on me. I want you to think about it. Now, he comes out and within 10 seconds he's getting bombed and he's on the ground. And I gave him every chance. As what I tell him in the back is, look it, if you get hurt and you get dropped by a shot, I expect you to show me through your actions that you want to be in this fight, that you're trying. If you are fighting back, if you are trying to move, if you're trying to get a hold of your opponent, those are the things that I'm looking for. That's what I want. It's when you start to hide that I'm telling you right now, I'm going to be stopping your fight. And if you watch what BJ did, BJ's trying. He's pushing out. He's reaching out. He's trying to bring his legs in. But Yair right away, the first thing that Yair does, he knocks him down and he goes right after him. And you see him, takes a step going towards guard, which all guys used to do in the past. And he goes, whoop, and he steps to the side and starts bang, 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 coming down with hammer fist. And that's the evolution of smart fighting now compared to what some guys did in the past. But I let BJ go a long ways. I let him go as far as I could until the point where his outstretched arms are not stopping anything, and he's getting hit with shots that he can't stop, and I stopped the fight. Now, BJ didn't want the fight stopped, but if I can try to push it off and get the corner to look and say, hey, your job is to protect your guy. That's part of your job. Yeah, I know you want him to win, but with what you're seeing, he's not going to win this fight. Mm-hmm. It's over. And so, if we can get a corner to stop it, great. But most of the time, they're going to put it off. They're going to put it off on the big dummies in the middle. And that's okay. That's our job.
Did BJ cool down, once the cameras stopped rolling
absolutely.
or backstage?
No, he was great. Obviously, he's disappointed. He came there and, he hasn't had a fight in a long time. And, he's trying to, come back. And he hasn't been successful since 2010. That's a long streak of not winning. And so the disappointment, he put in hard work, and the disappointment's there, and I don't blame him.
Junkie Nation's going to hang me if I don't get to these. So here we go. Most iconic match you feel like you've ever been involved with. And I think what they're saying is, do you have like a Muhammad Ali over Sonny Liston moment? Like something like that? Maybe do you remember a picture where you go, oh, wow, that was special?
Here's the problem. I get asked all the time, what's the greatest fight you've ever done? And, look, I've been doing fights for 23 years. And it's almost disrespectful for me to sit there and say, well, this is the greatest fight ever. Because I have done some incredible fights, over my career that I've been lucky enough to be part of. How do I sit there and say that any of the Randy Couture versus Chuck Liddell fights, be it the first one at UFC 43 or the last one at 57, how do I sit there and say that those aren't iconic in, the whole thing? How do I say that, Tito against Chuck at 47 wasn't iconic?
How about let's go for the picture moment then?
And still, picture moment, there's no way. Alexander Gustafsson fights John Jones. If that wasn't a great fight, I don't know what is. When Robbie Lawler fights Rory McDonald and you understand the drama between that fight and what happened. Then he fights Carlos Condit. I think that's up for Fight of the Year this year. And then you got Eddie Alvarez fights, Michael Chandler, or Conor fighting Diaz. I mean, it's almost disrespectful to pick one. I've had some incredible fights that I've been lucky enough to be part of, and that's just the way I look at it.
Would you almost go so far as to say that was a stupid question?
No, it's not stupid. I understand.
No, it would have been more fun if you said that, because then I could have called.
I understand
my
why.
Buddy from San Francisco
I understand why
people
want to know, but it's impossible for me to give a true, correct
What's
answer.
the strangest thing you've seen backstage?
Strangest thing?
Yeah.
Cupping before the fight. What the?
On the back?
Yeah. It's like, what the hell are you doing that right now?
Fight?
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, putting heat on the little bottles and stuff.
Or
it's like,
is that
what
private?
What's that? No, I'm not.
Okay. Let's see here. Could the U.S. have pride kicks and knees to downed opponents ever?
No. Just telling you, it ain't gonna happen. Don't wish for it. Look at. We have enough of. Think of the commissions that are complaining about heel kicks to the kidney, saying that's the big thing that's going to damage fighters, and you expect all these commissions then to say, okay, we're going to allow people to get knee to the head. I'm not personally saying that it's a terrible thing. I'm not saying that it couldn't work within the sport, but it is never going to happen because of liability.
Mitch Rosenberg says, I saw you wearing flip-flops in a crowded casino on Friday night. Why?
Not true. Wasn't me.
No? Okay. From his point of view, who won, Wilness or Adesanya, the Glory 37 main event? At this point, what did he think? Yeah, who did he think won between Wilness or Adesanya?
I thought Israel won. I thought I would have given Israel the fight 48-47. It went the opposite way, though, and that's what the judges saw.
How do you separate relationships with fighters versus being a professional and calling it down the middle?
I do not care who wins, and I know that's the hardest thing for people to understand. I like both guys. I like Chael. I like Tito. I like Connor. I like Jose. I like, I love the Diaz brothers. I don't care. My job is not. I figured out long ago. When Randy Couture is fighting Chuck Liddell, I was friends with both. Okay? And I know that Randy Couture doesn't need John McCarthy's help, and Chuck Liddell doesn't need John McCarthy's help. My job is to make sure that the rules are followed and that both guys are safe. And if at the end of that fight they can come back and fight again, that's what it's all about.
Who's on your Mount Rushmore of referees from Dean Desper in Georgia?
I don't think there is a Mount Rushmore of referees, and there should never be. The referee is part of the sport. In MMA, because, we're more visible than...
but if you had to do one, you'd include yourself, right?
I'd probably be one of the ugly bastards. Yeah, because I'm one of the beginners.
Yeah, fuck yeah, man. You understand what you've done for this sport?
Well,
so it's him,
but see,
Herb.
That's the whole thing, though.
Who is it, Goes?
I got him, Herb. I think you got to incorporate some of the... So I would bring in Yuji Shimada. And then the last one... That's where it gets tough, George.
Shimada Goes, I have a lot of love for him, but I've seen him make some big errors.
I know. It's comical, but...
But you're saying because he was the man at Pride? And,
he was. He was him there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. God. Maybe People's just because of the whole... that deal? Because you know what? Honestly, there's some real good... I'm a fan of Herzog, but it's too early.
Yeah.
He's too early.
Jason,
I'm a fan of Goddard.
Jason is going to be phenomenal. Mark Goddard is going to be phenomenal.
Yeah.
These are the guys of the future. When I'm leaving, these are the guys that are going to be getting all the great fights that I get. And, that's the difference between boxing and MMA. We have a couple of guys that have gotten all of the major fights overall, comparatively. Herb and I have gotten, I was the one, and then when I left for a little bit, Herb started to get that, and I've kind of come back and taken some of them. But we get the majority of the great fights. Now, there's a lot of pressure that comes with that, and, all the eyes. And so if you do something, then they're, telling you you're horrible. But the guys of the future, the Jason Herzogs, the Mike Beltrans, the Mark Goddards, those are the guys that are going to carry the sport to the next level.
You're listening to MMA Junkie Radio on Sirius XM Rush 93. Give us a few minutes. We are going to take our big break of the second hour. When we come back, we'll also be talking to Raphael Assuncao, who fights this Saturday at UFC on Fox 23 in Denver. McCarthy won't be there, by the way. His opponent that night will be Sterling. Aljamain Sterling. Should be a great fight. We'll be right back after this break.
passion, common sense. These guys have none of that. You listen to them, so you're no better. I am awesome, though. They are Gorgeous George and Goes.
You know what the worst part about having Big John on the show is?
Him not dancing to the song?
Like I was thinking about him.
Yeah, I know he has moves.
That's one. Two is the fucking ending, man. I can already see the clock ticking. I'm like, fuck, it's almost over. We still got a lot of questions. But I do want to squeeze in one of my favorite fighters to cover all these years. His name's Raphael Assuncao. I've said it many times, so I don't want to sound like a broken record. I have a lot of respect for these guys that improve in the sport. And no slight to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioners, but a lot of them have just never evolved their game overall. And I love how Raphael has picked up boxing. He's a great boxer. He uses his head movement. I mean, he can strike. He can now, it complements his grappling game. And anyway, I just, like I say, so many other BJJ guys just suck when it comes to striking. And I guess, I don't know, it's work ethic, how much you want to put into it. And he's put work into it, and now he's flourished because of it.
Yeah, aside from that, I have big praise for these guys that come to this country and learn the language and really embrace the culture. I would say if I'm the guy that would move to Brazil, and on year 8, I'd still be going, what'd he say? So, I mean, for him to be able to dominate the language the way he does, dude, it's awesome.
He does. All right, Sam, is he ready to go?
I think it says his call dropped.
Oh, okay. Well, he didn't hear all these fantastic things we just said about him. Raphael Assuncao will be fighting Aljamain Sterling on Saturday at UFC on Fox 23 in Denver. And these are bantamweights, and they're high-ranked bantamweights. So this is the type of fight that puts you in a position, maybe one other fight. You may have to take one more because these other guys are locked up with the reality show. But by the end of 2017, the winner of this fight could be fighting for a world title. He joins us now on MMA Junkie Radio. What's up, Rafa? How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing good. Good to have you. Good to be here with you guys again.
All right. You're on with George and Goes. We also have Big John McCarthy here in studio with us. Would you agree, Raphael, that the winner of a key fight like this could be fighting for a world title in late in 2017?
Most definitely. That's my ultimate goal. That's my ultimate goal. The past 2 years was a little bit unfortunate for me. I couldn't quite get my longer weight title shot, and I lost my last fight, so it's a big deal for me. Yeah, that's what I'm gunning for, yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what. We know you lost your last fight at UFC 200, but prior to that, you won 7 in a row. And the fight you lost at UFC 200 is to a guy you've also beaten. So you're in the position where, with another win or two, you have one. Sometimes it's great going in with a win streak. He's won 6 in a row. He's won 7 in a row. But sometimes when you can say he's won 8 of 9, that's just as impressive to me. Because in this sport, losses are going to happen. So, again, I don't think it was as big of a setback. You were coming off 2 years. But this win over Sterling puts you right back in that mix.
I think so, yeah. Sterling is a highly ranked guy and, a good opponent. And I think he does, And I always say that I'm not looking past anybody. But I am making, a little bit of a long-term plan as far as winning my next fight. And, my main goal is to challenge for that belt, man. I never had a chance. There's guys out there that's fought in 3-4 times for the belt. Some of them became champs, some never did, and I never had my title shot.
Raphael Assuncao, our guest here on MMA Junkie Radio.
Raphael, you're in a situation now where you're the veteran in the sport, and the up-and-comers coming after you. Is it a little bit extra fun to just kind of check these young bucks?
Yeah, I mean, yes and no. I'm the veteran. You calling me old or what?
No, that's why I stayed away from that word.
No, I'm just playing. I mean, it's the natural progression of the sport, and I'm happy for that. I'm happy that guys are coming up. MMA being such a hard sport, there's not many athletes that gets to that level. I'm not too big in football, but in soccer, for example, you've got, every couple of months, every year, you've got thousands of guys ready to, get to the next level, just waiting for a chance. In MMA, I don't think it's quite like that. Guys, it's the opposite. not many guys are able to get to that level and get to the next level just because it's so demanded. So it feels okay. The guys are coming up, and that means the sport is growing, it's evolving. But I feel great. I still feel, I try to keep myself, as I try to act just like a veteran. At the same time, I train like a young guy. So I try to keep that margin where, I'm not just, I only train 2 times a day because I'm a veteran. No, I'm always pushing the limits for myself.
When you look at Aljamain Sterling and you see his skill set, does he have anything that he brings to the table that you haven't seen so far in your career? Can you kind of go over his skill set and what impresses you?
Yeah, I think I've seen, what he brings to the table, to be honest with you. It's just, once you get in there, once you get in, up in the octagon, it kind of changes everything. But, I'm sure he's trying to, he's trying his best to progress, to get better. He's training hard and stuff. But I think I just seen it all. Like I say, it's not like, it's not going to surprise me. I'm not going to be over cocky about it just because it's not my type of approach. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. I think I've seen it all. He proposes, some dangers out there. I gotta be watchful for what he brings to the table. But again, that. When it's all said and done, I think I've seen it all.
I think what he told us yesterday, he implied that he feels like he may have something for you on the ground. You come in with the accolades, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. He's obviously taken to it with his wrestling. He's improved as a grappler under Longo and Serra. But it seemed like he felt like this was the type of test he wants to – he's embracing. There's a lot of people that will fight grapplers and they want none of it. Kato versus Gracie, for example. But he looks like he wants to take you head on. Or do you think he's full of baloney? You think he's maybe just hiding behind, maybe just wanting to strike?
He's trying to bring a grappling game to me. Is that what you said?
Yeah, at least that's what he implied to us yesterday.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine with me. It's like I said, I'm not going to be he's grappling. It's not going to be. And it just goes back to what I just said. I think I'm prepared for it, for anything. And if he's trying to play games where, he's trying to say something to bring a different approach, or if he's trying to kind of play the little game where, I'm gonna say I'm gonna do this, and then when it gets into the fight, I'm gonna change. It's not gonna change anything for me, honestly. It's not gonna affect me as, I trained for this and then he brought that, or he changed his style. I'm pretty much gonna adjust to anything he brings, and then that's how I train.
So, Big John, I got a question for you. 2 questions. One, how do you like the lighter weight classes? Refereeing those versus we talked about the big guys and the power they have. Do you have a preference or?
Everyone asks that. What do you like better? It's like, first off, I love them all, but what the lighter weight guys do is different than what the heavy guys do, and that's what makes watching the light. Look at just being truthful. The lighter weight guys bring such a level of technicality, because they have to. In training, they're dealing with bigger guys all the time. So there's a way to get better, and that's to be technically good. And their technique as far as what they do is so much better usually than a lot of the bigger guys. And my question for Raphael is you had your last fight was a loss, but so was Aljamain's. He lost to Brian Caraway, and he actually lost because of grappling. He did really good in the first round with his grappling. And then,
cardio, too.
And then lost. Well, it's the grind of that grappling that causes that cardio to go away, and that's what happened with Aljamain in that fight. But you had a fight with a guy that's very similar, because the one thing about Aljamain, he's fast. you know he's fast coming into this. But you had a fight against TJ, and TJ fought you differently the second time than he did the first time, and he tried to use his speed to be elusive in the fight with you. What have you learned from that fight with TJ that you're going to alter and do something different, knowing that you're coming in against a guy that's very similar as far as the speed in Aljamain?
You know, Big John, I think just that fight in general was just man, it was just a fight that I wasn't quite there 100%, and I think this fight altogether just it's a whole different as far as my training, I think it's a whole different fight, and I mean, I think it's different. I think TJ is a different fighter than Aljamain.
Yep.
TJ was coming off, and I've said it in past interviews and stuff, so I don't want to keep repeating myself. But he had come from a total of 15 or 20 rounds, if I'm not mistaken, and that's a lot of rounds to accumulate, for the type of experience that he has already brought, and I'm fighting a guy comes with that much, rounds, on the table. I mean, it doesn't really matter. I was ready to fight, I was just a little bit so, but speaking of Aljamain, as far as his speed, I mean, I'm sure he's a twitchy guy. It's okay, I don't think he's quicker than TJ, and I'm gonna be a different fighter also. So I think it's gonna be a whole different fight, altogether.
Hoffa, thanks for the time, man. I know it's fight week, so we'll keep it short. Good luck against Aljamain Sterling at UFC Fox 23. We are all looking forward to it.
Okay, thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Have a good
luck, Hoff. We'll see you. All right, folks, we're going to take this last commercial. When we come back, we will finish up with some rapid fire. Still got some questions here for Big John McCarthy, our in-studio co-host. Thank you again to Raphael Assuncao for his time. Follow him on Twitter at Hoffa Assuncao. We'll be right back.
To link into the MMA Junkie Radio Network, hit us up on Twitter.com at MMA Junkie Radio. This is MMA Junkie Radio. Here are your hosts, Gorgeous George and Goes.
All right, we're back. And we got a couple more questions for Big John McCarthy, and then we're going to bounce. No guests lined up just yet for tomorrow, but obviously keep an eye on the website. We'll let you know what's happening. Let's see here. It says, what's the weirdest question a fighter ever asked during the pre-fight rules meeting?
The weirdest question that a guy would ask. You know, I don't get weird questions. I get normal, things. A lot of questions, guys will come up with things of, well, can I do this? What about this? I thought about this. Can I do this? Chris Lieben, what if I get this guy an armbar and I can take, and he's pushing. I take my leg and I hit with the back of my leg, in my hamstring area. I go, no, Chris, you can't do that. He goes, why not? He's down. You can't kick him to the head. It's not my foot. It's your leg. Shut up. But guys, for the most part, they're not back there asking weird questions.
Gus Dominguez says, has there ever been a fighter that tried to get in a scrap with you outside the cage? Maybe a fighter who was upset with a stoppage.
No. I've gotten the ones like Tito one time, long time, the first Chuck fight. There was the end of the first round. It got so loud inside the arena because Chuck opened up on Tito, and he was connecting. And I had heard the 10-second clapper. I heard that, and I have a rule that you'll see. I'll point to the timekeeper every time it does. And the reason I do that is I tell the timekeeper is if I don't point in your direction, I want you to hit those things again because I want to know when the end of the round is coming. And the crowd, because Chuck had gone after Tito, it got so loud that you could not hear the horn. And so I come in between them, and I put my hand out like that, and I go like that, it's the end of the round. And Tito thought I stopped the fight on him. So I got pushed in the back. I didn't even know I got pushed. My wife's one, he pushed you, and she's a big Tito fan. But, that's about as bad as it gets. Sometimes you'll have words with guys and stuff, and, they'll sit there and they'll give their opinion, and that's great. They can have an opinion.
Will there be a command course in California anytime soon? Juan Lee Tran is asking.
Juan Lee Tran, I have a command course coming up in British Columbia here in February, but I'm telling you there's probably going to be one here in Vegas, and it should be somewhere in April. My biggest problem is trying to fit it in between fights, and I think I have an idea of what I'm going to do, but after March, probably close to the next big fight that they have in Vegas will be when I'm going to have it. And you can go to MMAreferee.com and put your name in there, and we'll send you an email out when it's coming.
You got your question, Goes? It was a silly one, I think you said?
I'm still contemplating whether I'm going to ask.
We're running out of time.
Matt Hamill, the deaf fighter, what were the steps that had to be done before reffing one of his fights to be able to communicate with him and all that?
Yeah, the difference with Matt is obviously Matt can't hear. And so he feels vibrations, though. And there's things that I would do. I would tell him, okay, in the back I would talk with him because he has an interpreter. And I would say, okay, when I do this, this is what it means to you. When I hit here and you see my fingers do this, it's telling you this. And I would give him basic, my, book 101 dummy sign language would come into effect, and I would do things special for him that I wouldn't do normally in a fight because it's imperative that he has the same knowledge of when you're going to possibly stand him up out of positions or what you want him to do if he's hurt. I would give him hand signals.
There's going to be a fight card in Colorado the same way we talk to the fighters about getting there early because of the elevation. Have you ever been affected by that? Is that something where you wish maybe you could get there a day earlier or something?
No, the one place that I will tell you that Mexico City is at 7,000.
10.
Isn't it 10?
No, I think so.
I thought it was closer to 8,000, 7,900 or whatever it is. It's the one place that sometimes you can feel it, because it's funny. I never knew how many steps I took. My wife got me this thing for Christmas, and so I'm figuring out. I take about, in a 3-round fight, it's probably about 1,500 steps that you're taking and stuff. And it just depends on the fight, how fast you're moving and stuff. But I never feel tired inside of the cage or anything like that. I'm concentrating too much. But I'll tell you what, if I was a fighter, I would never fight in Mexico City. I don't know how they do it.
You're right, 7,382.
Okay.
Real quick, 30 seconds left. Do you ever regret not refereeing in Pride in Japan?
Oh, no. You know what? There's reasons why. I went to Japan. I saw Prides when they were there. I've done other shows in Japan, but, you can't have everything. And it's something I've learned in life is, hey, be happy with what you get and be happy with what you have. You can't have everything. It's not, something that if you sit there and you look back on things like that and say, oh, I wish, you know what? Be happy with what you have.
Thank you so much for doing the show.
Thank you for having me, guys.
2
Appreciate
hours,
it.
so valuable to us, to the listeners. It really means a lot. And I know you don't have very many free dates because he's basically a Thursday through Sunday guy. He comes back, spends some time with the wife, so we hogged him up for 2 hours. Thank her for us.
Hey, no problem.
All right. So for Big John McCarthy and Raphael Assuncao, we are out of here. We'll be back tomorrow, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, with another edition of MMA Junkie Radio. For Sam and Goes, I'm George. Go out there, be champions.